welcome to our session today on the Bachelor of Commerce as part of our Your Future in Focus series. And so today I'll be joined by a couple of colleagues. So my colleague Nicole Carey, who will be joining me from the student experience team. So she's a student experience officer. So she's going to take us through all the different ways that the Bachelor of Commerce and the faculty will prepare you for your future career. And we're going to hear from a current student, Rory Hughes. He's going to take us through his BCom journey and how that's going to set him up for his future career. Now, before I get started, I would like to show my respect and acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land, of elders past, present and emerging, on which this meeting takes place. Now, throughout the session, you'll have the opportunity to ask some questions to our team who are off screen. So if you've got any questions about what we're talking about the Bachelor of Commerce and what it's like to study here at the University of Melbourne, please feel free to put these into the Q&A section, and we'll get an answer to you as soon as possible. And if there's something that we think is really relevant for everyone in the audience, then we'll also have the opportunity to pose that to our panel as well. Now, before we sort of go to our panel, I just wanted to give you some context. So when we're talking about some of these different opportunities that we have in the BCom and how we do our courses at Melbourne, they can be a little bit different. So I wanted to give you a bit of context before we really start to think about these different areas. So our Bachelor of Commerce is a 3-year program where students can do a variety of different majors. What's really great about how we do have this set up is that you get the opportunity to really explore different areas. It gives us the opportunity for you to build a really important skill set or toolkit that's really going to be really important as you move through your future career, because when you're thinking about your career, it's not going to be about that first job that you get. It's going to be about a lifetime of work and how the world is constantly evolving at the moment. So we want to prepare you for industries of the future, not just for today. And how we can really do that is give a really strong foundation of different areas for our students, of really fundamental understanding of commerce. And then, so that's why we've got these compulsory subjects that allow students to explore different areas of economics, of accounting, finance. And they can then, when they go to choose that major or a double major or a single major, you're making that choice from experiencing the subject. You're not just looking through a brochure and picking a course plan on your first day. You get to really explore the area that you really want to study by experience it. And one of the other things that's really important that we have is the opportunity for students to try different things before they really find what's their passion and what they're really good at. It really gives you the opportunity to work out some of the areas that you may not want to study. But they do provide a really great stepping stone for you to be able to go into those really important and really passionate areas of business and economics as well. Now, what we also have is something called breadth. Now, this is probably something that really sets the university apart from a lot of other institutions, where we really encourage and put the impetus on our students to explore areas outside of their own area of study. And this ensures that students get a really dynamic skill set and really interesting areas. So students can explore a passion. So whether it's someone who is interested in business and economics, but is also plays an instrument. So students can still sort of pursue that passion, and with whether it's music or whether it's acting, and also build some really great skills that will really complement their majors. So for example, you might have a student who's doing a marketing major and they'll have the opportunity to take some communication subjects from arts. You may get a student who's doing economics and they get the opportunity to take some psychology subjects to really get into that really interesting area of behavioral economics. And then you might do something that is completely random, something that's just going to make you think a little bit differently, think about commerce in a different way, think about business and economics in a different way. So whether that is Australia in the wine world, African drumming, there's a Eurovision subject. There is just areas that are in such a different, in lots and lots of different areas. That means that you get to really start thinking in a different way and analysing business and economic situations and issues in a really different way. And so what this builds is a really interesting study plan. So students will have, as you can see here, they've got those fundamentals, they've got accounting, they've got quantitative aspects, they've got finance, they've got economics, but then there's also something a little bit different. There's things like something like ethics in capitalism, which is a breadth subject, but it's something that's really relevant to someone who's looking at a career into business and economics. Then also the students will take subjects like organisational behaviour. This is a subject where students will really tackle a lot of group activities. And where this can work really well is that when someone goes into the workplace, working in a group is a really important part of when you're in the workplace. Being able to collaborate with others is really important. And there's another way that we can really build these skills is when we have our student enrichment experiential learning options. And what I will invite my colleague, Nicole, to have a discussion and sort of take you through some of these really great programs.
Hi everyone, my name is Nicole and I'm from the student experience team here at the Faculty of Business and Economics. I'm just going to cover a few of our programs that we offer students as part of student experience and experiential learning. It's a very long sentence there. So student experience and experiential learning is all about helping you feel that you belong at university by creating meaningful social connections and supporting your transition to the workforce through a range of professional skills development opportunities. The faculty has many programs in place to help you make friends, connect with academics, professional staff, and expand your networks and contacts. We have activities running pretty much every week of the semester. All of these have been delivered remotely in 2020 and are likely to be delivered remotely this year in 2021 as well. First of all, I'll touch on clubs and societies. These are a great way to meet friends and build connections. We've got 24 faculty affiliated ones, and these are, discipline specific, such as the Society of Marketing and Management, accounting student societies, and then we've got some more niche focused ones, such as social impact consulting clubs, entrepreneurship clubs, as well as female focused ones, such as banking on women and women in economics and so on. A major highlight of one of our, I guess, suite of programs is the career mentoring program. This links students with working professionals across sectors and industry. Just in the past year, we've been able to connect over 300 students with industry professionals as part of this mentoring program. We know many of you are also really interested in expanding your knowledge and skills beyond the classroom, so you know what to expect when you step into the real world. Our marketplace skills workshops are really popular with students. These aim to introduce digital tools and platforms that are used widely by industry and corporates. In the past, we've covered things like Excel, Advanced Excel, Salesforce, and Rike, to name a few. Other programs include Small Business and Entrepreneurship Week, Global Careers, and Future World of Work series, which aims to introduce topical trends in the workforce to ensure that students are really prepared and know, I guess, what employers expect from them going into the workforce. Some of our other programs include industry exposure programs such as Business Innovation Lab, case competitions, and Unimelp startups. These are all really hands-on practical programs that basically provide students with opportunities to practice real-life skills. So for the Business Innovation Lab, we assign students into groups to work on real company cases and problems using design thinking. The BCom case competition is our annual huge case competition where students compete in teams of 4 or 5 on business cases, as well as the Unimelp startup, which, as the name suggests, is a startup competition. Students pitch ideas to a professional panel, and these get scored, and then they do win prizes to kind of launch that idea into the real life, which is really interesting. Something else that we offer that's also really popular with students is employability workshops. And these really focus on equipping you with skills to be able to confidently enter into, I guess, the job search market. So these cover things like career planning and goal setting, interview skills, business etiquette workshops, communication skills, just so students are really confident when they are approaching employers for their first jobs after university. And to finish it off, we've got workplace opportunities. 2 of these, management consulting and global management consulting, are offered as 4-credit subjects. As part of these, students are able to get real life work experience at our partner organizations and get credit for it as well. Management consulting is a locally based program where students participate in projects with companies in Melbourne or in Sydney, when, of course, COVID isn't happening, and global management consulting is where students go abroad to work on projects with companies. Both of these subjects were switched to remote learning, and students were still able to complete these last year and this year as well. These were all done via Zoom, but the companies were still really, really interested in working with our students. And we had, to be honest, even more opportunities and more companies invested in providing these types of placements for our students. Okay, I think that covers everything that, well, most of the stuff that student experience and experiential learning does. Off to you, Josephine.
No, it's very comprehensive. It was really great to see all those different things that we do have. And as you say, we're able to offer those in the current online setting, so which is fantastic. So we thought we'd just have a ask our colleagues. Obviously we've got Nicole here and Rory, so we're just going to ask I'm going to ask some questions that I'm sure the audience would love to hear some answers to. So I'm going to start with Rory. What attracted you to the BCom?
Yeah, thanks, Josephine. So throughout high school, I guess I always had a bit of an interest that had developed over a few years about business and economics, and enjoyed those types of subjects at high school, and just kind of gradually pivoted towards looking at the Bachelor of Commerce. And I think even when I look back as a younger person, when I was at primary school, I was always looking at the news and interested in business and numbers and things like that. So that's, I guess, how I ended up in the BCom itself.
Okay, and so what majors are you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing finance and economics majors, and as you touched on, I found those majors most relevant to me after doing those compulsory subjects in the first year and getting that exposure to the different areas of commerce that are offered in the different majors. And I decided that finance and economics were going to be the ones that were best suited for me.
Yeah, I think that's a familiar story where students sort of try them, and then that's when they start to work out, okay, this is something I'm really passionate about. And so often things like accounting are really different in high school than when you're studying them at university. So how have you found studying online in 2020?
It's for me, I really enjoy the on-campus atmosphere. So the online was never going to be perfect for me, but in saying that, I've really found that there's been a lot of ways to engage with the university that are different but equally exciting and engaging, and great learning opportunities, and also opportunities to meet other people. I think the great thing about online, as we've discovered, is that it breaks down a lot of barriers for attending things and getting involved, because you have it all on that one place in your computer. So I've gotten a lot more involved with faculty events last year. A lot of the things that Nicole was mentioning earlier, I've been involved in last year that I wouldn't have necessarily been involved in if they weren't online, I think. So it actually opened up a lot of opportunities for me. And in terms of the subjects themselves, I did really enjoy the lectures that were online and the tutorials. The teachers and academic staff are really good, I found, in online and on-campus spaces.
Yeah, well, that's great to hear. So Nicole, how did your team manage to sort of deliver a lot of those opportunities online?
So we actually managed to deliver all of our events that used to be physically on campus, fully online. So we didn't really lose any of our programs, which was super exciting for us. And while the transition at times wasn't as seamless as we wanted to, we were really surprised to see that for some of our programs, it worked much better. So for things like our career mentoring program, we were actually able to engage a lot more industry mentors, just because they weren't restricted by the fact that they had to be in Melbourne. So we had a much more global and local reach within Australia, which works really well. And that also applies for things like our business innovation lab, and any of our case comps and stuff like that. So sometimes students would be apprehensive to come in and attend because, for example, they had work commitments or something else would pop up, but because it was online, it was much easier for them to participate. So yes, it was challenging and difficult, but at the same time, we reaped so many more benefits from the online that we would otherwise not have known. And now we're actually considering, even when I guess the world returns to COVID normal, to still launch some of our programs online, just because we are able to expand our reach and offer these opportunities to many more students than we ever could.
Yeah, that's really great. And so you've still been able to sort of create that sense of community while they've been able to study.
Yeah, definitely. So I've touched on, I guess, the professional development workshops and programs and the career mentoring stuff. But when it comes to building social connections, we were really worried about students feeling really isolated in an online environment. So on top of what the wider university was offering to students, where they had, Zoom, social hangouts, and so on, we launched a range of programs under our Don't Be Shy, Just Say Hi umbrella, which meant, especially last year, almost on a fortnightly basis, we had social events such as trivia nights and so on, little games that students could participate in to meet friends. We also have the wider university peer mentor program, which links new students to existing peers, and they have their own catch-ups in a very structured format, which means that they're kind of guided through that connection where you don't really, it's seamless to you in a way. So yes, social connections were also kind of a complex issue, but at the same time, almost on a weekly basis, students had opportunities to participate in faculty-run programs and kind of hangout sessions. And then at the wider university level, there was also many more opportunities to get involved as well.
And so these social activities, but also those more career-focused sort of activities, why are they so important for students to undertake while they're studying?
So I guess when you first start university, you're really focused, okay, I'm going to do this subject and I'm going to do this really well and I'm going to get all this knowledge and then automatically I'm going to do really well in my career and professional journey. That doesn't really happen. What we've heard, and also from my experience, because I'm a BCom student, I used to be a BCom student back in 2015, the connections that you make at university, whether it's professional or peer or your friends or your mentors, really matter when it comes to having confidence when entering the workforce. From a social perspective, it's really important to have that support network and also that knowledge base where you're free and confident in sharing ideas with your peers. And they also act as a really good emotional support, especially in troubling times like these. Having a close-knit circle of friends is really important. And who knows, maybe later in life, they will be able to provide you links with a new career journey, a new career step, and so on. But when it comes to professional connections, time and time again, people say it's really important to network, it's really important to network, but it is really important to network and meet as many kind of professional industry contacts, because it's not necessarily that they're going to provide you a stepping stone to a career that you want, but they're going to be able to clarify what your future might look like and what you might want to do with your career as well.
That's really important. So Rory, what sort of activities have you been involved in?
Yeah, I was having a think about it before the session, and I ended up with a fairly long list, which is exciting to look back on and see all the things that I have been involved with. But for me, my highlights have been the career mentoring program I got involved in last year, and I got linked with a really excellent person in the professional workforce who gave me great tips. As Nicole was saying, that was a really important thing for me. But in addition to that, I got involved in the student committee, which organised events for the career mentoring program, catering to 300, 500 people, industry networking events, and just some social activities as well. So that was a really great experience. I completed an exchange semester, slightly affected by COVID, having to come back a bit early, but I went to the University of Amsterdam and did subjects for credit to my University of Melbourne degree, whilst I was in Europe. So that was really fun and a great experience, and definitely felt a bit more independent after completing that. I've done a student internship at the university as well, which meant I was able to work at the uni and see what goes on as from the perspective of a staff member, I guess. I really enjoyed that experience, and yeah, lots of things with student clubs and societies and networking, social events, case competitions. So yeah, a really diverse range of things, which I've really enjoyed.
Excellent. Well, back to your study plan, I guess, the other part of university, actually the classroom. So I've had a look at your study plan, and you've got some really interesting breadth subjects in there. So how have you found those?
Yeah, so my study plan is a little bit unusual, I guess. I'm doing a diploma in music, which is in addition to the Bachelor of Commerce. So a lot of my subjects in breadth are in the music area, which is something that I'm also passionate about, and I started the clarinet when I was in high school and thought the diploma would be a great way to continue that. So I really like that the Melbourne model has allowed me to continue studying in those two areas. And I've also done subjects in breadth I did a travel one last year that was about travel writing and perspectives when you're traveling, and how to think about your impact on where you're visiting as well, which I found really interesting. And I was also able to continue my studies in French, which was a great chance to keep the language running.
Yeah, and Nicole, if you can cast your mind back to as a BCom student, not that long ago, don't worry.
Yeah.
And what sort of breadth subjects were you doing?
So I had to look this up because I graduated all the way back in 2015. So I pulled up my really old transcripts, and I did, one of the biggest highlights was, especially in my first year, I did 2 units of Spanish because I really wanted to work in a different country. And I thought that having an extra language skill on top of my other language skills would be really, really beneficial. And then I took a breadth on intercultural effectiveness, also looking through that lens of global travel and global work and being able to communicate with people from different cultures, and having that knowledge of why people behave the way you do from a cultural perspective. So that was really good. Then my second year, I was really interested in, let's see, I started kind of more sciencey subjects. I wanted to do, I guess, a Bachelor of Science before I did a Bachelor of Commerce. So I came back to that and studied a random breadth subject, 2 of them, called Societal Issues in Personal Genomics and Genetics, Health and Societies, because I was really interested in a public health perspective, how genetics kind of evolved over time. And also a few of my friends had genetic disorders. So I was really interested in not only being able to understand them better, but the whole topic was kind of interesting to me. So I was really happy to be able to do that despite kind of studying a Bachelor of Commerce as a core.
Yeah, and right there is a really interesting skill set that sort of complements a BCom really well. So with that, so Rory, have you found those subjects that you've done complemented your commerce subjects?
Yeah, I think it's something different that makes uni a lot more engaging when you're not necessarily stuck in the commerce world the whole time. It's a reminder that when you're leaving uni, you're entering a world of many different areas and sectors that you do have to take into account, even if you are working directly in the commerce field. So for me, it's been that constant reminder of there's other people with different interests, different skill sets, and if you can understand something more about what they're thinking, what they're doing, that's going to be useful in a lot of ways. So I've really enjoyed that aspect of the breadth subject, and within the university, it's allowed me to meet people from different faculties with different interests. The music is at a different campus as well, which is a quick tram ride from uni. So I've been able to work at some study at some really great facilities in different spots as well.
Oh, that's really interesting. And as we sort of said, that students do get this opportunity to pursue that passion, and the diploma of music or diploma of languages, these sorts of things means that you don't have to make a choice in first year and give something up. You have that opportunity to continue to pursue that passion. So I might just go to Nicole again a little bit about, I guess, one of the things that are really important for a lot of people attending today is the idea of career outcomes. And with you and your team, is there, have you heard some of the interesting destinations that some of our graduates have ended up in their careers?
So I will speak to a few of my peers that graduated with me back in 2015. So some of them moved to locations like New York and London. One of them actually moved to my home country, Latvia. Being an Australian citizen, they decided that the tech scene and the finance scene in Latvia and the Baltics was important to them. So that's something that they did. Something I guess that I will flag is there is that weird stereotype that when you do the Bachelor of Commerce, it's like, okay, yes, I'm going to do this and I'm going to get a job in the Big Four. And that's what I thought as well, entering a Bachelor of Commerce after studying accounting and business management in high school. I was like, yep, I'm going to get a job at PwC, KPMG, Deloitte, etc. But I guess the variety and diversity of pathways and subjects and things that you can explore as part of your degree really opens your eye up to a multitude of opportunities. So we've got the alumni that finished their degrees and went on to start their own businesses, their own brands. Some of them went and worked for not-for-profits. Some of them went to the entrepreneurship space. Some of them worked for KPMG and then stopped doing that and established their own not-for-profit or established their own company and business. So the chances and opportunities are basically endless when you finish a Bachelor of Commerce. There's no cookie cutter pathway or kind of pre-directed approach here. You really have the choice to direct your own future and decide what's best for you. And I find that really exciting. I mean, I finished my degree and did some interesting things before studying it, before coming back to work at the university. So.
Yeah, I think that's really interesting because it is that there is definitely that perception. I think that, you know, there's going to be a very obvious pathway when someone does complete. So it's interesting to hear that you've got not only different directions, but actually geographically, like as you said, your colleagues have gone all over the world because, you know, and that's something that we're really proud of because it is a global degree. We're not just preparing people for the Australian workplace. We really are hoping to prepare them for the global workplace. So Rory, do you, I don't want to put you on the spot too much, but do you know what you want to do with the rest of your life, or are you?
Yeah, I am in my final year, so I've completed an internship last summer at KPMG, and I actually got the graduate offer to continue on with them next year. So I'm looking forward to following that line and seeing where that takes me. And I'm going to be working in transport and infrastructure, which is another one of my passions, I guess, and working on some really big projects that will contribute to the Australian economy and how people move around, which is really exciting to get involved in. So that's what's on the cards for me, and we'll see what happens from there.
Brilliant. That sounds very interesting. Well, we've probably just about run out of time now. So I was going to say, if there's any other comments the panel would like to make to the audience, or otherwise we could probably round it up. Thank you very much for joining me this afternoon, and I'm sure the audience really enjoyed what you sort of brought to the session, and yeah, some of those really interesting career outcomes. So just a reminder for the audience too that there are additional sessions running throughout for the rest of the day and into the evening about a variety of different degrees that we have here at University of Melbourne, and also some additional sessions tomorrow about graduate studies. So thank you very much for joining us, and enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you.